Because by 2020, we will have collected data on how many people had heart attacks now that you voted 100% yes for this. And by the way, if you're over the age of 18, this will be the popular vaccine. Your pediatrician doesn't know any of this. Your pediatrician wasn't sitting next to me at the CDC meeting. All they know, and what they're going to tell your 18-year-old is that you probably want the new hepatitis B vaccine because you only need 2 shots. The last one took 3. Yeah, man, give me the one with 2 shots. No idea that there's a data registry going to see if you have a heart attack and how many people do. And by the way, on a pregnancy registry too. Not a pregnant woman in the trials, but pregnant women are going to get this vaccine too. And we'll monitor them and see how they do too. Okay, great. So we're all a part of a giant experiment. We admit that? But I run out of the room. I'm like, what do they mean by myocardial infarction signal? And I run to some computers in the hallway of CDC, and I look this up. And I just put in Dynavax's hepatitis B vaccine, and this pops up. And this is the story, and what it says is, FDA rejects Dynavax's hepatitis B vaccine. I said, wait, that's weird, because I just saw FDA must have approved it, because the CDC is here voting on it. And then look why it rejected it. In the trial, an acute myocardial infarction occurred in 14 people in the Dynavax group. But only one person received the conventional vaccine. The events were confirmed by adjudication. Since the Dynavax group was twice as large, the risk of acute myocardial infarction in the trial was 7 times greater with the new vaccine. Okay? This article came out the second time Dynavax had tried to get this hepatitis B vaccine approved by the FDA. They'd already been once. The FDA said, hey man, 14 heart attacks, people died, no can do. Now they go away. And you would think, this is what I thought before I got involved in this. I thought the FDA would then go and do a study. They don't. They just send the manufacturer back to the drawing board. They don't make a new vaccine. They don't do a new trial. They just get some computer geek to start crunching the numbers in a way to try and blame the 14 heart attacks on something else like too much McDonald's or something like that. And then they came back a second time and failed again. FDA said, I don't care how you crunch the numbers, we're still seeing 14 heart attacks. If you read, went and looked up more articles, and then we find out the third's a charm. They came back a third time. They represented the vaccine again, and I read an article by a man who said, I was the only cardiologist that was on the board voting for the Dynavax hepatitis B vaccine. I was the only one that truly understood how alarming it was that there were 14 heart attacks. Therefore, when they had the vote, I abstained. You abstained? You're the only heart doctor in the room, and you didn't vote no. You just got out of the way, and now CDC is going to go, they voted this through. This is real. I want to know what part of this, if there's anyone in the media right now, what part of this is misinformation? I've just shown you published reports. I let you hear from the ACIP meeting themselves, okay? Here's the fact. There is a vaccine being used right now on all of our 18-year-olds that they know has caused heart attacks. They just don't know how many. And they're going to wait and see. Which means you are test subjects, period. Full stop. Oh, I thought I'd turned that. There is the writing. Myocardial infarction, sorry, occurred in 14 people. So we're all a part of a giant experiment. This hepatitis B vaccine proves it. And what do we know about experimenting on free people? Well, when you look at the Nuremberg Code, that's exactly what it was trying to keep from happening. After trying 16 doctors that came from Nazi Germany for doing medical experiments on innocent people, all of them hung, by the way. You know what their number one argument was? Everybody else was doing it. The consensus said that it was okay, so I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be being blamed. Consensus, remember? Consensus science. Are we going to stick with consensus? Because I assure you, once the truth comes out on all this, you won't have to hang doctors. When they start recognizing I was giving a hepatitis B vaccine that caused heart attacks in my patients, and I just trusted the CDC, do you think they're going to feel okay? Do you think they'll be able to go to bed at night? When the science shows, as it is more and more from ASU and all the universities, that the gut biome is being disrupted and that's what's leading to autism. Guess who said that the first time? The Just reported this week, a huge report out of ASU, multiple universities, mouse studies saying, look, we've discovered that the bacteria in the gut is different in autism. It's a brand new discovery, except that Andy Wakefield said that in 1998. That's exactly what the Lancet study shows. It's a novel gut disease that's correlated with autism. Is it causing the autism, or is it being caused by the autism? We don't know. More studies should be done on that. But we had to take that guy's license away and make sure we stalled the science till now. And when I worked on facts, by the way, I would say to Andy, what is it like to sit here and know that they're just not looking at the science, they're avoiding the right science? It doesn't matter, except that children's lives are being destroyed. But history will report correctly. The question is, will we be at 1 in 250 with autism, or 1 in 60, or 1 in 45, or now we're at 1 in 36. They can keep saying they're diagnosing it better. Maybe you'll feel better when it's 1 in 25, just diagnosing it better. 1 in 12, just diagnosing it better. Folks, it is skyrocketing. And the scientific establishment doesn't care. But let's read the Nuremberg Code, because this is essential. Even though the consensus scientists were hung, this is what we came away with. The voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. This means that the person involved should have legal capacity to give consent. You should have legal capacity to give consent. And this is all that I believe is right here. There's nothing else should be so situated to be able to exercise free power of choice without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, or other ulterior form of constraint or coercion. What does it mean when your governor says that you can't go into a school unless you vaccinate? What's that called? Coercion. Okay? Our governors, our senators, our congressmen are actively setting out against, are destroying the Nuremberg Code, one of the most important medical documents in history because of the tragedy that happened to your ancestors. Let's move on. So that makes me think of this. Maybe I'm going too far, but let me make this point. Maybe it's not a religion, perhaps it's a cult. A great devotion to a person or an idea, an object, movement, or word. You see, I believe that vaccine and being able to eliminate infectious disease, totally noble idea. Has it worked? Are we healthier? Are we a better society because of it? That certainly should be the question. Now, I was speaking at NYU about 6 months ago to a class of kids, and I said, I'm curious, just for everyone in the room, I want to ask you a question. If there was a nonprofit that was the best in the world, it was the best at putting in sewage in Africa, and putting in toilets and clean running water in India, and healed the poor and saved dolphins and rhinoceroses and monarch butterflies, like everything, they're the best. No one can touch them. There's just one little issue. Once a year, this nonprofit sacrifices one innocent child. That's all they do. You can go to it, you don't have to, you can watch it online, but this brilliant nonprofit that heals arguably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people, could you accept that they kill one innocent child a year? Please raise your hand if you could accept that. Okay. Couple right there. Honest people. Very good. No one in the NYU class, by the way, raised their hand. Okay? So, what would it take to convince you that it's okay to kill an innocent child? What would they promise most of us? Like 100 virgins in the afterlife? Or, Eden? I mean, it's hard to imagine what it would be that would let you accept killing an innocent child. What if I presented to you that this would make it worth it? This is the argument, right? Herd immunity. Herd immunity is the reason we're allowed to kill some children. who was investigating the mumps outbreaks that were happening in fully vaccinated communities. She was really worried about, the fact that it appears that vaccinated people can carry mumps and spread the mumps. They're asymptomatic carriers. She was honest about that. I said, okay, now we're being honest. You have to admit that some children will die this year being vaccinated because we know that there's no one-size-fits-all. We've never found a drug we can give every kid. You would never force, for instance, penicillin on everybody that has an infection. Why can we do that with vaccines? She said, you're right. Some children will die. I said, how do you sleep at night as a scientist knowing that? She said, because it's the accepted casualty to achieve herd immunity. So I had, I think, the right follow-up question. Okay, interesting. Will you please tell me how many children we expect will be killed by the vaccine program in this upcoming year? And she said, we don't have any data on that. Wait a minute. You just said as a scientist, it's an accepted casualty, but you don't know what casualty you're accepting? There's no math behind it? It's just a statement you're saying? So let's just talk about herd immunity really quick, because you're in the middle of the measles outbreak, everyone's asking about measles. Well, I know about measles mostly because I live in California, and we went through the Disneyland outbreak. And we just got, in fact, you can find this online, I just found it on the plane today, this is something new I want to show you, because this is awesome. This is from, the CDPH, so this is a major health department, California Department of Public Health. This is their PowerPoint. So this is, again, their own words. This is no misinformation coming your way. Here's their own words. So we've talked about how this is the biggest measles epidemic right now since Disneyland. Prior, Disneyland was holding the record. Now we've got that beat out. But it was big. It was 600 cases or so across America. So there was a report that came out, and it's talking about the stats on the Disneyland outbreak. Now you would have thought that only unvaccinated people get it. And by the way, we passed a law, SB 277, forcing all children to be vaccinated if they want to go to public or private school in California based on this outbreak alone. This was the entire sales pitch by Senator Richard Pan. So when they finally put out the stats, I think you'll find something that's interesting. Remember, we took away the rights of parents to decide what's injecting their children, and here's what we now know. Okay, this is their own right. If you look at they looked at 82 cases, 62% of cases had immunization status verified. Then 31% were vaccinated. Were vaccinated. What? Hold on a second. 31% of the cases that we talked about in the Disneyland outbreak were vaccinated with the end of all. So you have 31% vaccine failure. Now tell me, because herd immunity, by the way, means 95% of the population has got to be vaccinated for it to work. Okay? So 31% right there are experiencing vaccine failure. Next slide. Look at this. A majority of cases were adults. We're writing laws to force vaccinate children, but 53% of the cases in Disneyland, and I think it's similar here too, are adults. So when they say, Del, don't you feel responsible for the measles outbreak? How can I be responsible? Adults are getting it. And by the way, when they said that out front, that I'm responsible for your measles outbreak, how many people even knew who I was 3 years ago? Okay. And I'm going to guess since most of the people that are getting the measles are over the age of 3, how did I affect that at all? You see how stupid that question is? It's insane. Okay. Sorry to be lying. So now we know 31% had vaccine failure. 53% of them were adults. And this is really awesome. Look at this. If you look at the bottom, it says we looked at the specimens and they genotyped as many of the cases they could. 73 of them were a wild strain. 31 of the cases of the ones they tested, 30% had vaccine strain measles. In fact, there's other slides that we now have that show that it's more like 38% of the Disneyland outbreak got the measles from the vaccine. You want to tell me how you're going to get herd immunity when 30 to 38% are getting measles from the vaccine, when another 30-something% have vaccine failure, and then the rest of them are adults? There is no herd immunity. There never has been. Because the vaccine is failing. I got more proof of this. Anyone seen this story lately? U.S. Navy acknowledges MMR vaccine caused viral mumps outbreak. 27 naval officers have been stuck out at sea for months because the fully vaccinated soldiers are all getting the mumps. Or there's this priceless piece that came out just last year. Whooping cough. This is another big scary one, right? It is. You don't want your infant under 6 months old to get whooping cough, okay? And you'll see the commercial that the big bad wolf is your grandparents, and they better get their vaccine, they better get their whooping cough vaccine if they're going to visit the baby. Everyone seen that commercial? Okay, if you watch TV, I guess some of you might not. Great idea. I'm going to turn the thing off, throw it out the window, and destroy it. This is widely known now in science. Resurgence of whooping cough may owe to vaccines' inability to prevent infection. The startling global resurgence of pertussis or whooping cough in recent years can largely be attributed to the immunological failures of acellular vaccines from the School of Public Health. Researchers argued in a new journal article. It doesn't say Bigtree said this. It's literally the School of Public Health is telling you our whooping cough vaccine doesn't work. You know what this article ends up explaining? Whooping cough vaccine, pertussis vaccine, does not stop transmission. Let me repeat that. Does not stop transmission. All it does is protect you from having symptoms. Okay, you see where this is problematic? If the big bad wolf is grandma and grandpa because they need to get their vaccine before they visit, actually the opposite is true. If grandma and grandpa don't have the vaccine and they have a cough and they're at home, they're going to call you and say, you know what, probably shouldn't visit, we're a little under the weather right now. If they have this vaccine that's hiding their symptoms, they're going to come over carrying whooping cough into your house, and they are the real silent killer now. Fact. You can't run away from them. This is why they don't want to debate us. This is why no doctor will sit here and have this conversation with me. Here's what the article goes on to say. This is priceless. Listen to it, because it's going to be a recurring theme the rest of our way through. This disease is back because we didn't really understand how our immune defenses against whooping cough work. What? You didn't know? But you were telling us the science was settled. And did not understand how the vaccine needed to work to prevent it, said Christopher J. Gill, Associate Professor of Global Health and lead author of the article. Instead, we layered assumptions upon assumptions, and now find ourselves in the uncomfortable position of admitting that we made some crucial errors. This is definitely not where we thought we'd be in 2017. New studies are coming out saying that if you have the DTaP vaccine, you are going to have more pertussis throughout your life because of isotope suppression. It's just the body only recognizes the way it was presented to you in the vaccine, and all the other ways it present to society, you're going to get pertussis more often. They're saying this. And then also saying, we can't rectify that problem. We've made a mistake, and now you're going to have more pertussis throughout your life because you got a DTaP vaccine. It's unfortunate. But this is what happens when you hand your bodies over to the medical establishment and just trust them when they say, trust us. I wasn't wired that way. My parents didn't raise me that way. So let's look at post-licensing surveillance. Okay, remember when they said, well, yeah, it looked like the vaccine caused heart attacks, but we're going to prove it anyway. We'll look at the post-marketing surveillance, see how that goes. Let's see how well that works, okay? Because this is the next part of our meeting at the NIH. We've already said you're not doing any safety studies. So now let's look about these products that have never been through a safety study. How are you watching them in post-marketing? Remember when I said, you know, a couple guys here might sacrifice one child. Well, the question is, how many children are we sacrificing, right? I mean, the head of the CDC in Washington couldn't say it, but we have a place we can look. And here's where we can look. If you look at VAERS, this is the only capture system we have where your doctor is supposed to report an injury by a vaccine. So it's VAERS, Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Your child has seizures after a vaccine, you tell your doctor, they report it to VAERS. You can even report it yourself. A lot of the manufacturers do their reporting, Bigtree, VAERS to VAERS, and so that's the system we've got. So when they say we're looking at surveillance, this is the system. Well, in 2016 alone, VAERS received 59,117 reported vaccine injuries. We're told that vaccine injuries is 1 in a million, but 59,000 reports is of 59,000 million people living in America. Like, what's going on here? And specifically, 432 reported deaths in 2016 alone. In fact, we're looking at the numbers now for 2018. We're already at 412 reported deaths for 2018 alone. Now, these guys are here with ones. How about 412 innocent children?
Well,
close?
Well, if you break down the number, there are some in there that are car accidents.
Not in 2018. I looked that up. That's been fabricated. Cherry picked a bunch throughout. But either way, 432 potential. These are only reports. Potential deaths. Can we accept that? Is that acceptable to sacrifice that for herd immunity? The list goes on. 10,000 emergency room visits, 1,000 permanent disabilities, 4,000 hospitalizations. This is what I'm being told we're supposed to be worried about measles. Aren't you worried about the kids that are, on respirators for measles? Why are you worried about the kids that are on respirators from vaccines? Why don't they count? Why are the mothers that are sobbing in the ER right now, terrified that the child's not going to pull through after the vaccine? Why don't they matter to mainstream news? Why don't mothers matter when they witness injury to a child from a vaccine? Why are they just stupid women when they make that report? Why is the news getting away with that? But it gets worse. Harvard Medical School was hired and paid $1 million by the CDC to investigate VAERS, to see how efficient it was, and to see if they can automate it to make it more efficient. And this is what they discovered. VAERS is capturing less than 1% of the total amount of injuries. What? Let me repeat that. Harvard Medical School paid $1 million, investigates and says VAERS appears to be capturing less than 1% of the total amount of injuries. Another internal review by a former FDA commissioner found the same thing. A fraction are being reported because it's a passive surveillance system. Nobody's forced to use it, and most doctors really don't even know it exists. So what does that mean? If we're to take Health and Human Services internal review, Harvard's word for it, not Bill Bigtree's, Harvard's word for it,